Erebus bowed to the crowd, facing the applause of fists thudding against bare chests. The deactivated Crozius in his hand was flecked with blood. First blood. And ever the dignified victor, Erebus offered a hand to help Kharn from the deck. The sergeant took the proffered hand, gripping it with his new augmetic limb. "A fine bout," the first chaplain said. The World Eater still hadn't had his throat mechanics repaired, leaving him speechless, but he grinned and nodded in place of words, and moved back into the crowd. Delvarus stepped forward, so did Kharn. The crowd, on the edge of cheering at the first warrior, fell silent at the sight of the second. The captain said 2 words to the Triarii centurion. "Let me." Delvarus saluted and backed away. "First blood?" Erebus asked. The axe in Kharn's hand was Gorechild, toothed by Mica dragons and once thrown from the hands of a Primarch. He'd chained it to his bare wrist in imitation of the Nusairian gladiators, whose bones he'd seen and honoured mere days before at Deshelica Ridge. The captain was stripped to the waist, as were all the warriors present. "Sanguis extremis," Kharn said. Some of the crowd breathed in, showing their shock as the humans they once were. Others laughed or cheered. More fists beat against chests. Erebus regarded Kharn with cold, composed eyes. Several seconds beat in silence before the word-bearer's lips curled in a soft, indulgent smile. "Bold, Kharn. Are you Gorechild read for the first time since his birth, eating air with the throaty snarl of an apex predator. That interruption was the only answer Kharn would give, and Erebus raised his Crozius in reply. "Come then." 3 blows. The first, Kharn smashed his maul aside with the flat of his new axe. The second, he cannoned a headbutt into Erebus's nose, breaking cartilage with a wrecked crunch. The third, Gorechild tasted first blood, whipping across the chaplain's chest, carving a canyon of flesh over the dense subdermal arm of the warrior's black carapace torso implant. All of this happened in the time it took Erebus to blink. No one could move as fast as Kharn moved. No one human, and nothing mortal. The chaplain threw himself backwards, Crozius up high to guard. Kharn walked forward, gunning Gorechild's trigger. The crowd was silent now. This was a Kharn they'd never seen. Not even on the field of battle. Another 3 blows, delivered with the same blinding speed. Erebus's maul clanged, skidded across the deck. He took a fist to the throat and a boot to the stomach, knocking him back with enough force to send him crashing onto the bloodstained iron grillwork. He looked up at Kharn from the ground and saw his death in the World Eater's eyes. He'd never seen this before. Not in any of the paths of possibility. It couldn't be happening. It couldn't end like this. He was Destiny's hand. Kharn looked down at him, clearly allowing time for the chaplain to recover his Crozius. "Get up." Erebus rose, his mace in his hand again. He attacked this time, showing the speed and skill that had allowed him to hold his own against Lucius of the Emperor's Children and Loken of the old Lunar Wolves. His Crozius trailed, killing lightning, buzzing furiously as it thrummed through empty air again and again. Kharn weaved aside from every blow, quicker than a blink, surely quicker than muscles could ever allow. Their weapons crashed together. Kharn had parried the last blow. Erebus expected accusation in the World Eater's eyes, or surely anger. He saw neither. Worse, he saw a bored indulgence. The captain even sighed. 3 more blows. Erebus was on the deck before he knew how. Pain flared across his chest, hot and urgent, matching the thick throb of his smashed face. He reached to touch the wound with a hand that was no longer there. His hand was on the deck, several meters away. Blood leaked from the chewed veins nestled in the meat of his severed limb, turning unbelievable eyes downwards. He saw where his arm now ended at the wrist. "Going to need an augmetic for that," Kargos said from the crowd. Several warriors laughed, but few with any real relish. They were too fascinated by what was unfolding. Erebus looked up at Kharn again. He was just waiting. "Get up." The chaplain rose. Kharn didn't wait this time. The blows were bloody blurs of whining motors and tearing chain teeth. Pain bloomed across Erebus's body, and he was face down on the deck again before he'd managed to fully rise from the last time. Even without his armor's pain nullifiers and chemical stimulants, Erebus suppressed the pain by whisper chanting a sacred mandala. Kharn interrupted it. "Get up." Erebus actually tried, but he froze when he felt Gorechild's teeth against his spine. The idling chain blade was purring and breathing out its Promethean fuel stink. The axe's still teeth kissing Erebus's vertebrae. Never, not in any fragmentary glimpses, had he foreseen this duel. It couldn't end like this. He couldn't die here. There was so much to do. Cygnus Prime, Terra herself. In all the 10,000 futures, Erebus had seen himself fighting the long war to the very last. The very same second Erebus reached for the ritual knife at his belt, with his remaining hand, Kharn pulled the chain axe's trigger. There should have been a scream. Everyone expected it. Every warrior present waited to hear the first chaplain of the Word-Bearers shriek as Gorechild bit into his flesh. But there was nothing beyond the rotating whine of a chain-axe blade, chewing empty air. No one seemed surprised at the display of the Word-Bearer's sorcery. Even fewer were surprised at the cowardice. Kharn turned from the blood marking the deck, leaving the circle without a word.